Hi everyone, this is Edgar Valerio. Make sure you guys follow Sporting Icons for the latest boxing news and all the updates and the 411s on boxing. God bless you all. Make sure you guys give them a follow and a like. We live.
Now, as many of you may or may not be aware, that the IBF have stripped Saul Canelo Alvarez of his IBF middleweight world title for not agreeing terms with Sergey Derevyenchko, who is of course promoted, managed by Lou DiBella. Now, I'm kind of in between, and I kind of flipped to sides as to whether it is the right thing to do or whether it was the wrong thing to do. And first of all, the IBF don't play. Okay, I said this a long time ago, and I've said it multiple times as well, that the IBF, you either do what they tell you to do, fight your mandatory when they tell you to fight him, or they will strip you. It doesn't matter who you are. It makes no difference. And I said this pretty much going back to when the whole argument was with Anthony Joshua to fight Luis Ortiz after Joshua defeated Vladimir Klitschko. If you guys will remember that situation, because Anthony Joshua was an IBF world champion. He then fought Vladimir Klitschko for the WBA title and the IBO as well, of course. But when he got the WBA, people were saying that he should fight Luis Ortiz for the WBA heavyweight world title because he was the mandatory, so he should fight him next. And I was like, but he was already the IBF world champion, so he already had a mandatory for the IBF, which happened to be Kubrat Pulev at the time. Of course, he got injured, replaced with Carlos Takam, as we all know. Now, the IBF was saying, no, you are going to fight our mandatory first before you entertain your WBA, which was Luis Ortiz. And people couldn't get their head around it. People were saying how Anthony Joshua was ducking Luis Ortiz and whatever, and he'd rather go fight Pulev at the time. I was like, but that's not the rules. And the IBF don't play. So had he have won and fought Luis Ortiz, they would have stripped him. And people were like, no, they wouldn't do it. It's Anthony Joshua, he's a cash cow. Like, no, they will strip him. Okay, they really will. So that was... or this new update right here shows you that in addition to the fact that the IBF also stripped Triple G about a year or so ago, if you guys remember, when again, they ordered him to fight Sergey Derevyenchko, but Canelo and Triple G, they wanted to have their rematch. So, which kind of like fell apart in the end, or it fell apart at the time due to Canelo testing positive for whatever it was. So that title then became vacant. Derevyenchko versus Daniel Jacobs then kicked in, right? Dan Jacobs won that fight. He then defended it against Canelo Alvarez and lost. So that's why Canelo became IBF world champion. So it's kind of odd for me that they would call for this IBF already. That's the first thing, because let's be honest, Sergey Derevyenchko, he's a fantastic fighter, but he had his opportunity at the IBF, only one fight to go. He lost to Daniel Jacobs. He then had another fight and became mandatory again. And the guy that he beat, was it Jack Kulke, if I remember rightly, already had multiple losses. So I don't quite know how Derevyenchko became the mandatory after one fight. I don't quite understand how that worked out. But this is what it is. You know, these are the sanctioning body rules. They do whatever they want to do. So Canelo was supposed to fight Derevyenchko next. They ordered purse bids and they ordered a deadline and whatever. And Saul Canelo Alvarez, along with his team, Oscar De la Hoya of Golden Boy, kept saying, well, we need a bit more time. They needed, more time because they couldn't get things over the line. Now, this is kind of where I can agree with the IBF from a certain point of view, because Oscar De La Hoya, now he's released a statement, and it does appear that he may well be taking the IBF to court or whatever it may be, a tribunal, I don't know, because they didn't allow Canelo to stop the negotiations with Derevyenchko and maybe go fight and negotiate with Demetrius Andrade for a unification. But the reason that the IBF not allowing it is because they dragged on for too long with Derevyenchko. Now, Derevyenchko, not necessarily a big name, a big star, but he's a quality fighter. He's a underrated fighter in my opinion, but one that Canelo, you would believe, would win, right? But the situation is that Oscar De La Hoya is saying how they offered Derevyenchko and obviously Lou DiBella multiple offers, and there were career high paydays, in Oscar De La Hoya's own words, unprecedented amount of money for the name, if you like, or the limited popularity, as Oscar De La Hoya calls it. But as it turned out, allegedly it's around $5 million for Derevyenchko. Listen, excellent amount of money, right? It really is. But the rules are IBF challenger gets 25%. Now, Canelo, he signed a 11-fight deal with DAZN for, was it £278 million, whatever that is, $365 million. I don't know what it was, okay? But either way, a crap load of money. So when you break it down into like 11 fights, apparently Canelo was going to be getting around about 35 million for his next fight against Derevyenchko. And obviously Derevyenchko, Lou DiBella, want 25% of whatever it is Canelo's getting, which is kind of odd because Canelo's getting a set amount regardless of who it is that he fights. But the rules are 25%. So if Canelo is going to be fighting Derevyenchko as the mandatory, you need to give Derevyenchko 25%. Don't get me wrong, 5 million is probably way more money than Derevyenchko would ever fighting anybody else. So, but 5 million of 35 million, that's not 25%. But again, there's an argument, it's not Derevyenchko or it's not Canelo's fault even that he got this huge deal with DAZN. Does that mean that he has to give up 25% or DAZN have to pay 25%? It's debatable, right? Because they're not getting, say, what the event and what everything brings into the event, because they don't know what it's going to bring in, because it's not pay-per-view or anything like that. So what 25% is, who knows? Who knows? But ultimately, Canelo's not going to get 75%, is he? He's going to get a whole ton load of money. Maybe this is what the argument is, and this is why everything broke down. But it does seem that Oscar De La Hoya seems to think that Derevyenchko, whatever money was offered, he should have took. And there's an argument to be had for that. There really is. But as I said before, the IBF do not play. They don't care if your name is Saul Canelo Alvarez, Anthony Joshua, Floyd Mayweather, or whoever, okay? You do what we tell you to do, or that is it. And you have to give the IBF a lot of credit for that, because they are one of the very few sanctioning bodies that do actually impose rules and they stick to them. When you look at the WBC, complete polar opposite to the IBF. So there are arguments for and arguments against, no doubt about it. And for me, I don't know whether it was the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do, but fact is, the rules are the rules, and the argument was over money. Whether 5 million is enough for Derevyenchko, it should be enough, but ultimately, when you look at it for 25%, it just isn't, is it? But now it looks like that Canelo has been stripped of it, that Derevyenchko will fight Triple G, Gennady Golovkin, for the vacant IBF world title, which is weird because it's kind of like a full circle of Triple G versus Derevyenchko, which is what should have happened about a year or so ago. But Triple G refused to negotiate with Derevyenchko when the fight fell apart with Canelo. They had, what was it, 3 weeks notice or something like that. And Derevyenchko was saying, okay, fight me then. And he got the IBF to say, okay, all right, fight me. And Triple G didn't want to fight Derevyenchko on that kind of notice. So he ended up fighting, I forgot his bloody name now, but whoever. So Triple G got stripped, title became vacant, Danny Jacobs, Derevyenchko, etc. So that's how the whole thing come about. So now it's gone full circle. Will Triple G now fight Derevyenchko for the IBF world title? Now, Lou DiBella, I don't know, does he have some kind of influence with the IBF? Because this is the second time that Derevyenchko is getting a title shot. And it will be for a vacant title as well, within one fight apart. So I don't know whether Lou DiBella's got some strings at the IBF, I don't know. Likewise, I'm hearing like a lot of rumours that Lou DiBella has been sacked off as far as Showtime and Fox, as in the PBC, are concerned. Again, I can't clarify any of that if it's true, just rumours. But either way, this is the whole situation, that the IBF have stripped Saul Canelo Alvarez. As I said before, nobody is above the grade, which you can respect the IBF for that. Whereas some sanctioning bodies, they become lesser than the fighter. But the IBF are like, no, nobody is bigger than the IBF. No champion is bigger. You are not above being punished or anything like that. So you have to respect that. And in some ways, I wish that all the sanctioning bodies would do the same thing. The WBO do at times. You guys will remember with Joseph Parker when he was mandated to fight Hughie Fury. Hughie Fury, he got injured, didn't go to New Zealand, and there was talk about unification against Joshua, or unification against Deontay Wilder and that at the time. And the WBO said, no unifications, none whatsoever. You are going to be taking on your mandatory. So again, different rules, and everybody has their own crosses to bear, I suppose, as far as the sanctioning bodies are concerned. But anyway, that is the situation, that Saul Canelo Alvarez has been stripped of the IBF middleweight world title. Where will he go next? Well, there's talks that maybe he may unify against Demetrius Andrade anyway. Who knows? Maybe Eddie Hearn is going to try and slip in Andrade versus Derevyenchko for a unification. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But anyway, that's the news. You drop your thoughts below. Click thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you all on the next one.